Hey everybody, welcome back to Breakfast with Bob from Oceanside, California. Our host, the beautiful Mission Pacific Hotel. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by MasterSpas. SFuels go longer. HOKA, let's fly. Forum Smart Swim Goggles. Zoot Sports, the original triathlon brand. Premium Plus Sports. And of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, defending champion, Ironman 70.3 Oceanside, Mr. Jackson Laundry. Do not look at that light. Do not look into the light.
Don't look into the light. That's
there you go. How you doing, Jackson?
Good, good.
So last time we chatted, you were getting ready to go do the Arena Games.
Oh, yes.
In Montreal.
Yeah.
But there was some learnings from that.
Humbling.
Those guys are fast, huh?
Yeah. It was not unexpected. Let's just say that. Those guys can swim really fast and
yes.
obviously bike and run. But just with the time of year and what I knew
coming out
my
of this,
fitness
yeah.
was, I knew I'd be in a pretty hard spot to try to get into that final. And
right.
Wasn't quite able to make it, but it really revealed a weakness in my swim where, like, I knew I wasn't going to be one of the stronger swimmers, but the deficit was just more than I had expected, and so kind of allowed me to take a step back and look at what has been going on with my swimming and sort of look at my form and find some quick fixes, that sort of things I'd left behind a little bit in my stroke and my just my form, and really was able to improve a lot in a couple weeks after that, once I'd kind of recognized the issue.
So this last year, when you look at, you winning Oceanside and getting second at Indian Wells and 8th at Daytona and 4th at Cabos, the thing that blows me away is it's 10 and a half marathons, basically, right? That's a lot of racing.
Yeah.
How do you stay healthy?
Well, it's all pretty well calculated. So part of it is, at the end of that year, I did those 2 races back to back on the same weekend in Daytona and Indian Wells. So,
yes.
So that's kind of like, that was just using the last bit of the fitness and then off season right after that. But aside from those 2, things were more spread out than usual. Even I just went longer through the season. So
right.
For me, it's kind of just about spending more time, a little bit more time recovering after each race, an extra day or 2. And when you're not racing quite as much, you can do that. So I'm trying to avoid those gaps of like 2 and 3 weeks when I can, because then it gives me more time to recover and then build into the race. And then you're just a little bit of a healthier spot in terms of your rest.
How was that racing and getting 8th at Daytona on Friday and 2nd on Saturday at Indian Wells?
That was really cool. That was like a great way to finish off the season. But it was surprising because I honestly thought after Daytona, because it wasn't a great day for me, but I went as hard as I could. It's not like I held back. I just, those guys swam really quick, and the way the race played out, it wasn't, in the cards for me to be in the top 5 that day. So I kind of thought, okay, I'll go to Indian Wells. Maybe I can sneak into the top 5 or something. And, I just swam kind of like not great, like you might expect. And I was with the chase group, and I thought, all right, well, I'm getting on the bike here, and Sam Long goes by me, and I'm like, I'm just going to stay with Sam Long as I can, because why not? And then I just felt good. And then we're like, I'm taking turns, and we caught the lead group pretty quick, and, put in some good attacks. And we end up like with a big lead off the bike, the 2 of us. And
yes.
I actually was able to run with him for a little while, and then eventually the legs started screaming, and I wasn't quite able to hang on, and ended up second. But holding off Lionel and Bart Arnault, who both were
flying, right? They were flying.
They ran and biked well. So that was really fun, and also just sort of, kind of reinforced that I had a good season, and, I did well, and I had a bit of a slump there in the middle of the summer, but I came around and sort of learned from that, and ready to tackle this year.
And this race, obviously, you're winning here. Now the target's on your back, right? Especially Jan's out, Lionel's out, but you're the defending champion. That's the one who people are focused on.
Yeah, I think, it definitely is a little different than last year when I came here and I wasn't even in the conversation. Mm-hmm. And, I still think you got to give respect to the competition. Like, there's guys here with way longer lists of accomplishments than me, and I'm still looking at myself as a bit of an underdog when you've got this caliber, especially with the swimmers that are here. That I'm able to, going to be really. That's the key for me, is trying to keep up in the swim and minimize that deficit. So I'm still trying to keep the same mindset as last year, even though people are going to have me a little bit more on their radars. I just have to kind of do that same race plan and stick within myself and, just not change anything, because, we've seen people in the sport who like have great success and they change stuff and they, it doesn't necessarily work. So for me, it's sort of like, okay, keep doing the same thing. Don't let it go to your head, and don't focus on your expectations. Just focus on what you can do in the race and the things you have to do to have a successful day.
A lot of people come here and it's like, oh my God, it's so cold. And water's been like 57, 58. I'm like, yeah, well, Jackson he'll be wearing a Speedo.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'll be ready. I thrive in the cold, and for whatever reason, I still feel cold, but I just enjoy it. It allows me to push harder, and it kind of helps keep my heart rate down, and I really get the best out of myself in cold conditions. So like last year, my 3 best results were Oceanside, Indian Wells, and 70.3 Worlds, which were all cold races.
Yes.
So that's something that I know, and that doesn't mean I don't think I can be successful, and I haven't been successful at hot, but when it's cold, it just gives me that little extra confidence that this is kind of my wheelhouse, and it just gives me that little bit of an edge.
Was that something that was that a mindset that, hey, people seem to be intimidated by the cold, I'm not going to let that bother me, I'm going to embrace the cold?
Definitely, that is where I got it to. I didn't think of it like that at first. I just thought, okay, it's cold, no big deal, let's just deal with it. And then I kind of realized at 70.3 Worlds, which was 7 degrees Celsius or something like that, or 45 or whatever it was, and I had a plan to put gloves on, and I ended up not doing that because I had a bad swim, and I was just like, I can't take the time to do this, and I was fine. And so I didn't have any warm stuff, and I realized that there's probably a physiological thing that's happening here as well, where I just can handle the cold a little bit better than some other guys, which is an advantage, because even if it's just I don't have to put gloves on and someone else does, that's an advantage. That's a time advantage where in transition and once I get onto the bike, I can just push a little bit more than I could otherwise. So it's all good for me. I'm just hoping that temperature drops as much as possible.
So, 14 podiums since 2018, or is it more than that?
Yeah, I think 15.
15, yeah. Nice. And going from running cross country in school to, the probably a pivotal moment was 2019 70.3 Worlds in Ace, where you crashed, and that was bad. How long did it take you to come back from that?
I raced again just pretty much exactly 6 months later, but that was like every bit of recovery I could possibly do to recover that quickly, and I kind of made it my full-time job to recover. So broken scapula in multiple places and my collarbone, so that was a few months before I got the last pieces of metal out, and then I was just from there I was actually swimming, and then it was another few months to get because my muscle mass in my right arm essentially almost disappeared after like a month, because I couldn't really move my arm.
Yeah.
So I had to build that back up, and then I actually raced at 70.3 Campeche in Mexico, which was like the day that the world was shutting down, basically, from COVID.
Yeah.
And I finished second there to Matt Hansen, and that was a great day. And then everything kind of hit the fan, and we just had to work our way through the rest of the season.
Yeah, that 2020. But then you came back with a vengeance in 2021. 8 70.3s, one full. That's a big season. A lot of, you won Ecuador, third in Des Moines, fifth St. George. St. George is a good course for you. You dig St. George.
Yeah.
Are you going there this year?
I am. Yeah. And it's a hard choice because it's the same day as the European Open. So I pondered on that one for quite a while, and ended up deciding that it's worth it for me to kind of stick a little bit closer to home with what I know early in the season, not put too many eggs in a big, travel and time change and those things, when those European guys who are incredibly good athletes are going to be, a 1 hour, 2 hour flight. And it's just, it's a big ask to go and compete there at that time of year with them, and I'll take my chance and really try to peak for August for like U.S. Open and have that be kind of my A race season, and then 70.3 Worlds.
Well, and obviously you've had so much success at St. George. That's not a bad
That's
place.
The other thing is I love that course, the
Yeah,
climate,
I mean,
and
you wanna
it's
go
still
where-
it's still North American champs, and I do think quite a few of the North American guys will choose to go there, and it'll be a competitive field.
No question. So then you mentioned 70.3 Worlds in Finland.
Yeah, that'll be my kind of A race. And
Yeah.
again, it's kind of a colder climate, and it kind of starts to entice me for that. And like a week before that, you've got the Singapore Open, the Asian Open, and that's like the hottest place on the planet. And I'm just like, you can't really go to one and then the other and expect to have success. So I'm going to put my eggs in the Finland basket.
It's so hard, because you're just like, there's so much stuff you want to do.
Yeah,
you want to do it all.
And it's all at the same time.
It's all at the same time. It always is, right? You've
Yeah.
got, and then I'm guessing there's no Nice Ironman Worlds in your plans.
Well, no, I'm not planning to do a full, at least in the qualifying period.
Yes.
And maybe I'll choose to do one later.
Like
I haven't
end of the season or
decided.
something, yeah.
I haven't decided what to do after August, honestly. So taking it one step at a time, and maybe it's a year to jump into another full. I did one in 2021, and it was a good learning experience. Not really a great result, but I was 13th in
Mallorca.
Mallorca. Really competitive race with the fact that Kona was canceled, and it was right near the same time.
Right.
So a lot of the great European athletes came and just whipped my butt and showed me what you need to do to be successful in Ironman. So if I took a crack at it this year, I would do a proper build into it and really focus on it.
What's nice in this day and age, you really don't have to do a full, right? Because there's so many 70.3s, and then you got the PTO races. You can focus and be a middle distance athlete and make a pretty good living.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest opportunities in triathlon right now, is at least financially, are at the middle distance.
Yeah.
Just because you can do 10 in a year and recover, and there's big prize money, especially at the PTO races, and a lot of the Ironman stuff's getting a little bit bigger prize money as well.
Yep. It's a good era.
Yeah.
It's a good era between PTO and Ironman and Challenge and Clash.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good opportunities.
And it's really great that we're seeing more televised races
Yes.
and sort of live coverage, because it really does increase the opportunities from a sponsorship perspective as well. And the sport has more prestige. People know about it more. Like, I do think it is starting to sort of gain momentum, and it's just
No
a matter
question.
of seeing where that goes over the next few years.
And when you went to Arena Games and talk about something that is a made-for-TV event, besides the racing part of it, just as a fan of the sport, did you like the whole concept?
Well, the benefit of not qualifying for the finals, you get to sit in the stands and watch the finals.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. It is really cool to see that right in front of you. You're seeing the whole race, and obviously I would have loved to be in the final, but maybe next year I'll go back and take another crack. But yeah, it was really cool to see, and then having Lionel do reasonably well as a long course athlete.
Going to the lead.
To lead temporarily, and the crowd goes wild, and yeah, it's fun, and it makes it kind of a little bit more enticing for like someone who doesn't know what triathlon is, because you go and watch it. Maybe you live near the stadium, you go check it out. It's short. It's not like you're sitting there for 3 hours trying to see what's happening in this race. So I think that's a really good entry point for people who maybe don't know about triathlon too much.
I think it'd be fun to have one of those that's just for long course athletes. Don't invite any of those short guys. Just for long, so it's you and Ferdinand and Lionel and
make
Sam.
the swim shorter.
Yeah, make the swim like 100 yards. Get rid of that type of crap.
That'd be fun.
That would be good. What is your favorite race? Is it Oceanside? Is it St. George?
Say.
Probably St. George.
My favorite race experience was probably Oceanside last year. Just that whole,
Well, the chess game you played.
And winning the race with those guys, like, it's something you literally dream about. Like, when you're developing as an athlete and you're nowhere near that level, and you're just starting as a pro, you at night you dream about going to battle with Alistair Brownlee or Lionel Sanders or whoever. And then when that actually happens, and you work your way up over the years and get to that point where you can actually do that, it's kind of surreal. But yeah, I love it here. But St. George has been awesome. Every time I go back there, it feels like home. I've got friends there, and RTS headquarters is there for us. And,
Yes.
And I've raced there. Every single time I've raced there, I've had a good result. So it always feels comforting going back there too. So I got to probably give the nod to St. George for now, just because I've been there more. But who knows?
But if you defend your titles, then all of a sudden,
it could be take over the #1 spot.
I think that was one of our favorite races of the year last year. Just watching you and Lionel and Rudy Von Berg and Ben Canute and Alistair Brownlee. It was like your little Hall of Fame contingent there, and you're running your way through and catching. Not many people have caught and passed Alistair Brownlee, I'm guessing, in his career.
Yeah, that was definitely pretty neat. But I've got to give, and it's the battles throughout the race that get you there. Like, I was battling with Rudy the whole run, and that was pushing me and keeping me close to the front. And then you just sort of take your moment when it happens. When you feel good, and he happened to not feel good at that time, and it sort of worked out for me. And it'll be really interesting to see what happens here on the weekend, because whatever you try to predict, it's never going to finish that way. Nobody would have predicted last year's finish that way, and who knows who the wild cards are going to be this year. There's probably going to be some people who aren't on the radar, who are right in the mix. So I can't wait to see it.
Love it. Jackson, as always, thank you for being so generous with your time. I love chatting with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Jackson Laundrie has been our guest, everybody. That wraps up our day. Breakfast with Bob from Oceanside. Thank you to all of our sponsors and the beautiful Mission Pacific Hotel. Check out all the interviews that are posted there on our YouTube channel. See you later. Bye.